as Rodin Takaruza compared to Zimbabwe. Is going to come is Reverend Hussein Sibanda, who is coming to give a briefing. But the main press statement is coming from Bishop Makaya. It's mainly on the recent prohibition by the police of demos, as well as threats by His Excellency to the judiciary. As such, go on.
Thank you very much, Reverend Wilson Kaseke. Yes, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen here present, we are dealing today a body within church bodies by the developments that are taking place in our nation, as the voice of and as the prophetic voice to this nation, we cannot afford to keep silent. I'm gonna read this statement. The ban by the police on protests and demonstrations, which by now has been declared null and void by our competent courts, affront on people's civil liberties, which are guaranteed in the Constitution of Zimbabwe 59, which is endorsed with the rights, and in particular rights to assemble, rights to express, and rights to demonstrate. These, ladies and gentlemen, are not above the supreme law of the land. Just a law enforcement agent, and clearly shows the extent of utter disregard. The president's statement, in which he also lashed out at the courts allowing citizens' applications to demonstrate, is yet another indication that the president and his party have not regard for the law. Should rise against such tendencies, because everyone now is at the mess of the marauding ZANU-PF. What a shame. Every one of us knows that separation of is a sacrosanct tenet of any constitutional democracy. The executive cannot and should not interfere in of justice, even when the adjudications do not all court determinations will favor ZANU-PF or any other party. And the president is not leading by example when he undermines the independence of the judiciary. No wonder why the police has assumed the powers beyond their constitutional measure to ban the demonstrations, which have largely become partisan, are known for clearing any ZANU-PF initiated demonstrations and any other deemed to be on sides with government. And the ruling party, to the extent of actually providing escort, none of these has ever been extended to perceived dissenting voices. The Zimbabwe Republic Police or some other boot-licking partisan force. The police cannot ban nor revoke civil rights, even they are well documented to rise up and to press for their demands, to stand up against evil. We encourage people to continue protesting non-violently. We don't want to see people looting. We don't want to see violence in this our nation. So we really want to encourage Zimbabweans to continue demonstrating non-violently. And we do, of course, appreciate the fact that more often than not, the police actually trigger the violence, and would want to encourage the people not to give this false ammunition and justification to disrupt our God-given freedoms to assemble and to demonstrate. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Bishop Ansel Magaya. Briefly, I would want to ask Reverend Clement Zenda to just briefly say something about it.
Thank you. I'm here to call upon President Mugabe to release the people, to let the people go, to give people their full democratic constitutional rights. The Zimbabweans didn't ask for guns, they didn't ask for water cannons and baton sticks, but they are merely asking for bread and butter issues. They are asking for employment. They are asking for medicine in hospitals, and they are asking for basic lifestyle, and which they can't afford in this hard-pressing economy. So I am appealing to President Robert Mugabe. He cannot muzzle the voice of the church, because the church is the mother of society, and he comes to our churches. We give him church, meaning that we are the fathers. Rather, we are the ones who are supposed to detect to him what to say, not him detecting to us what to say. Whatever the theory which is unfounded that he uses, that when the pastors begin to meddle in politics, we are going to political gloves. That theory is an enemy of the people theory. Rather, he must listen to what the pastors here say. The pastors will not partner with government in committing crimes against humanity. That one we will never do. We will only partner with government when government is doing the right thing. According to the book of Romans chapter, the Bible says submit to authority individuals. Now our situation is precarious in Zimbabwe because the authority himself is going against his own enacted law, which is the supreme constitution, the supreme law of the land. So why does he expect the citizens to abide to the law while he himself is going against the law? We are not going to submit to an individual, but we are going to submit to the law of the land, and we are going to preach in our churches for the people to submit to the law, not to a party called ZANU-PF, but to the constitution of the law.
Thank you, Mr. Zenda. Where next is Rodney Chagarusa from Fair Network of Zimbabwe. You can go ahead, sir. Thank you very much.
We condemn the most recent attempts by the police to ban demonstrations by the people of Zimbabwe against the misrule of President Mugabe's government, and dismiss it with the contempt that it deserves. It is our belief that good leadership can only come through demonstrating the values that are enshrined in the Constitution of Zimbabwe. When now one tries to trample upon that same Constitution that is supposed to safeguard the integrity of government, it is very questionable whether this person is still a leader or something else. If someone tries to live outside the Constitution and be above the law, the people cannot sit back, watch, and relax. As church, we are saying it is our duty to see to it that people are led constitutionally, and that people are satisfied with the leadership that they are getting from government. They are going to continue because people cannot continue to suffer under the yoke, under the bondage of this evil regime. In short, the people are tired of Mugabe's leadership, tired of government shortcomings. The people are tired of corruption. All people are demanding from this government transparency. People are demanding bread on their tables. Funding is due to them as people of Zimbabwe. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. If anyone has a question to the three gentlemen seated on the table, you can please fire away right now. Anyone with a question? Sir.
Okay, my question to that I'm not afraid to own lives like what happened to Pastor Ivan Mawale, trying to voice against the government. He ended up being that by the president. He ended up running away. Will you not see some of you running away and sitting outside? And that's so
That's very much coming from a citizen or a Zimbabwean who feels that pastors at times might actually trigger certain processes and then thereafter run away. Talking about being afraid, obviously, we are not made of steel and iron, that flows into our veins, that blood. So naturally, fear is a reality, and in fact, somebody says boldness and courage is not necessarily the absence of fear, but it's actually being able to overcome fear. And we at times may feel afraid, but I can assure you that there is an understanding and a consciousness that He who is in us is greater than He who is in the world. And a lot of us have been arrested several times, and you know that government has, the state missionary has pursued us. And what we can promise you is that with God, we will move on. With God, we will be able to fight this battle. And I can assure you that we do not have any plans to run away from this nation.
To add on to Bishop Magaya, the love for our nation has made us to outgrow the fears of death. Yes, fear is there, yet love is powerful, more powerful than fear. So right now we are here driven by the love for our nation, for our country, and the betrayal of the people that the church has done for so long by keeping quiet. We are just going back to what we were supposed basically to have done before the situation deteriorated in this manner. So basically, love is more powerful than fear, and we are being driven by love here. That's why we are saying this.
You have to add something to add on that.
Yeah, sure. We can assure you, as church, that we are not only very courageous to stand and fight for what is right, but we really stand resolute to see to it that Zimbabwe is what it should be. What is Zimbabwe today is not what it's supposed to be. And we really believe that it is because of leadership that has become directionless, leadership that has become very insensitive to the needs and the plight of Zimbabweans. We are the voice that is going to speak for the voiceless. We are the energy behind those who do not have sufficient energy to fight for what really belongs to them. We are from God.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Just arrived is the Reverend Hussein Sibanda from Judicial Alliance. Briefly, I would want him to just to add on to what has been said in this president statement. Thank you.
Yeah, well, as a church, I think we've continued to say that our government has ignored the genuine concerns of citizens. I think Zimbabweans have spoken in various ways to the government, but our government in its current state and form and nature appears not to be in a state and appears not to have the capacity to resolve the current crisis, as evidenced even yesterday by the budget preview of the budget by Chinamasa. It is clear that there is no clue of how to resolve the national crisis, and there is a need for leadership renewal. There is a need for a clear vision of where this nation is going. And what citizens have experienced across the country is a brutal reaction from government themselves. And what that has created to date is a very volatile situation where citizens are likely to become more violent because of the violent nature of the police. But also, as my colleagues have spoken, as a church or as a Christian community, we have to defend the Constitution. The Constitution is sacrosanct, and the independence of the judiciary has to be defended. The independence of the media has to be defended. The right of citizens to enjoy and get everything that the Constitution promises has to be protected and has to be demanded. And this is our premise. We are saying from now going forward, that gives us a Bill of Rights, an extended Bill of Rights, that gives us every right that we need in terms of socio-economic rights, for our children, in terms of jobs, and this government's obligation is to provide. And if it cannot, then it must tell us as Zimbabweans, because we would rather have an early election if our government is now failing, and this is clear. Then the last point I think which should be emphasized is the international financing institutions cannot finance this regime because of its human rights violations. And the World Bank and all the other IMF considering financing government deficit and so forth, it cannot do that because this government has violated human rights within the Zimbabwean context, within the African context, and within the international context. But also, we see that when they talk of cuts in civics, civil servants cuts, which Chinamasa is proposing, 35,000 jobs, surely why can't they cut the president's trips? Why can they not reduce the cabinet and just remove all the deputy ministers? Why can't they reduce government expenditure? Civil servants are gobbling up just one person using 200,000 in telephone calls. How many teachers can be paid out of that? So we see a government that is very insensitive to the needs of the people and responds with brutal force by ordinary Zimbabweans. And I think the time has come for us as citizens not to say, I think enough is enough. We need to resolve this issue. And like what the church bodies have been calling for, it's important that there is dialogue for us to avoid serious conflict coming upon our nation.
Thank you, Reverend Hussein. Any more questions either to what Reverend has just said or any other questions that is emanating from this? If there's no question, I would want to thank you very much.